Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to a new week of live streaming. Hope everyone had a restful weekend, a good weekend back testing. Right, Richard and Robin, good morning. I'm just getting the chart set up for today. Right, Templar, John, good morning, guys. Right, there's midnight, at 8:30. All right, so now we have everything marked up here that we need. Let's start out by getting a look at the calendar for the week and just kind of having an idea of what we're expecting. Go ahead and drop my photo there. All right, so this morning at 10 o'clock, we do have a medium impact news event. And it's new home sales. So no high impact news today, only one medium impact at 10. Starting tomorrow, there's medium impact news at 8:30 and at 9. Not to mention we have the 9:30 opening bell. And then there's high impact news at 10. So tomorrow morning is going to be a busy morning. So just keep that in mind. Wednesday, we only have a high impact news event at 6 p.m. So after the session is over, when the markets reopen for electronic trading, one of the FOMC members, Waller, is speaking. So I'm not exactly sure how this is going to impact trading tomorrow, other than it may act just like a normal day when we don't have high impact news, where we could get a ranging day. Um, there could still be expansion, but it wouldn't be expected the same way that it would be expected when there's a high impact news event during trading hours. And then we head into Thursday, where we have high impact news at 8:30. There's a medium impact at 9:45 just after the opening bell, and then there's also high impact news at 10. So Thursday's gonna also be a busy morning, just like Tuesday, except it's a little bit more high impact news there. And then Friday we have 8:30 and 11:30. Right, so 11:30 is not a normal event there, but it looks like Powell is speaking. So that's definitely going to be high impact news, and he's speaking during the day and participate in a moderate discussion with Kai Rasal at the Macroeconomics and Monetary Policy Conference in San Francisco. All right, that sounds like a big deal for economists, but yeah, so that's what we have this week as far as our news events and how that's going to impact trading. Again, today is only a medium impact event at 10. All right, Erwin and Chuck, good morning. Good morning. Cool, calm, shark. Good morning. How's it going? Hey, Juan Carlos, Tommy, Mark the Shark. How's it going, everyone? Yeah, definitely. Let's see how the day unfolds. Let's hope we all have a good week. Uh, Either a good week of learning or a good week of trading or both. All right, we have the opening bell in about 45 seconds here. We're trying to see if this 1 hour fair value gap the price is currently trading in. It looks like it's been here since around about 7 o'clock, actually. It's 2.5 hours trading into this fair value gap here. I want to see if this holds. Right, so far, this looks like a pretty good impulse candle there. Oh, all right, Richard. Good job. Good to hear. Good to hear. All right, thanks, Mark. Hey, let's just step out for a bit. Take a look at the chart here. Just taking a look at the weekly, start from the top and just look and see what we can expect going forward. Like that there. All right. So if this was our last week high, and of course we have a bias to continue moving up where we're looking to take out the high. Prior to doing so, I would expect for us to sweep down at least to this level here at 385. And potentially we could build up from there, but I would at least expect early this week for us to touch down to 385. And we're not that far from it now. We're only about 80 points away. Um, but definitely, I'm looking for us to at least take half of the previous week's range before looking to potentially take out the high. It could be that this week we just range, meaning the open and close of this entire week will be in between the open and close of last week. So it'll just be a shorter candle there. Um, but we'll see. We'll see once we trade down to 385 how price reacts there, whether it continues. I was looking at the dollar, and on the same time frame, the dollar looks like it wants to buy. So that would lead me to believe that we would definitely see lower prices on Nasdaq. It's just the question is how low will the prices go? And we'll just continue to monitor as we develop through the week, and we'll see where we land. But even if I switch down to the daily, you can see last week created this huge fair value gap right here. So at least trading through a good part of that is should be in the plans for this week. And remember, I said 385. So 385 is only just below the half pointer here. In fact, I think it's this wick right here. So Monday, March 18th, last Monday, the high is 381. So pretty much getting back to where the high was last week before trying to move upwards is what I'm expecting. All right, 4 hour, not a lot there. Mm, 65. Okay, wait, that's good for now. We'll just okay, it looks like that previous area, the 1 hour that was holding price for a few hours, has now finally broken and price is trading below, but there's another much larger similar hour fair value gap just below. And we'll see how price reacts when it gets there. First, at the upper edge, we might see a little bounce, but it will likely come back and retest again, and we'll get deeper inside of the fair value gap. And 414. All right, so price is just now reaching that lower 1 hour fair value gap I spoke about. And let's go ahead and check on our other indices. All right, Horse Things, good morning. All right, we can see Nasdaq is out in the lead as far as seeking lower prices. So that would the 1900 since it reopened yesterday really hasn't done very much. And S&B is kind of in between what we see for Nasdaq and the Dow. But what's interesting is that we also see the dollar selling off so far since it reopened yesterday. It's already taken out the morning lows from Friday, and then we'll see which one of these gaps it can find support in this morning. As I mentioned earlier, as far as the higher time frame, looking at the weekly and into the daily, the dollar looked like it also wanted to have higher prices this week. So it's a bit interesting to see the dollar and all the indices all selling off so far this morning. Okay. And so that's a good reason to hold off for at the moment and just let's see what price wants to do. We do have a medium impact news event coming at 10, so we need to be aware of that. As far as session highs and lows, the only remaining ones we have this morning is the London high and the Asia high. Both lows were already traded into. Sorry about that. My dog was a little jealous that he too wasn't getting coffee. All right, let's see if it actually touched into this fair value gap. So let's continue to watch this and see if it actually does break into the one below, or if it not only trades back into the one above, but reclaims it. And by reclaiming, I mean trading above and closing above, somewhere above the fair value gap to keep it active and validated. And since this fair value gap is on the hourly time frame, we have 12 minutes to see if that fair value gap will remain on the chart. Okay. Good, nice, strong start to that candle. Let me break it down to the 5 minutes so we can see a little more detail. Great. Pushing right back into the 8:30 open. You remember there's a medium impact news event in 5 minutes. So far, remember the fair value gap we were trading into for first 2.5 hours of this morning. Then we had the opening bell where it crashed below, and we were looking at maybe trading down into the fair value gap below, even digging into it a little deeper. Um, and all we got was almost a tap of the fair value gap and an impulse move higher, back up to the 8:30 open, where we've gotten a close here at the 5 minute, right at the open. I'm sorry, right at the 8:30 value, not above. And now potentially we may have a retracement back into this fair value gap here. Right, the last 30 seconds of the hour to see if this fair value gap will remain. It looks like it's going to make it. All right, we should have the medium impact news announced in 2 seconds. None of the hour is over. Let's just take a look again at where we finished up. So here is on the far left, the dollar. You can see it was a bearish candle pushing down, creating a new low of the morning. And then for the Dow did the same thing, a bearish candle, push for a new low down here for the morning, the lowest value of the morning session. And then as we move over to S&P closed bullish back into the range. There was actually a fair value gap right here that it closed above. So invalidating that. All right. And then as we get over to Nasdaq was slightly bullish, but you can see this long tail, this long wick down for Nasdaq, but it was able to, by the end of the hour, completely recover and finish slightly positive. And so we'll see what that does for this hour. This tail here, a lot of times they want to, price likes to trade down to about 50% of it. So let's not be surprised if we see that back. Let me go ahead and just measure that so we know what it looks like. Okay, so 445. 445 is the midpoint of the wick. All right, we'll switch back over. As you can see here on the 1 minute, looks like our indicator has created or found a breaker block here on this high candle. And remember, a breaker block is categorized as a low, high, a lower low, because it's lower than this one. So a lower low, and then a higher high, because it's higher than this point. Oops. So once this set of candles was put in, and remember that this is a low time frame, so we're down on the 1 minute. But once these set of candles were put in and closed above this blue area, then that activated the breaker here for a return back into the zone and hopefully down and up. If the breaker works, that's what we're hoping for. All right, let's see exactly what were the results of the news event from this morning. All right, we can see here is new home sales, and the forecast was 675,000, and it came in at 662, so just below. Last time was 664, so even slightly less than last month, but definitely below forecast. Oops. Actually, you know what? Let's see how to interpret this. Actual greater than forecast is good for currency. Okay, so this was a negative for currency. So this would explain why we're likely seeing selling pressure on the dollar, which we currently, not necessarily that it's a lot of selling pressure, but it's not buying at the moment. We still have the Dow selling, pushing lower. We have even the S&P buying up into a bearish fair value gap above it, similar to what we see on Nasdaq. So this what we see on NQ is the same as we're seeing in S&P. Yep, I think macros ended right now, and it has. So let me go ahead and shift all that stuff out of the way. You can see here even on the 5 minute, even when price broke through and closed above the breaker here, get a retracement back in, even past the 50%, but it never came out of the bottom. So if your stop loss was below the breaker, which it should have been, you should still be in the trade. There shouldn't be, you shouldn't have gotten hit, because this selling candle here never got to the bottom at 466. It never made it to 466. All right, let's see if price can break through this fair value gap is in now. It's already made it to the upper edge, but hasn't broken out yet. All right, let's see. So we traded through one, two bearish fair value gaps there. Wanted to see if we could make it to this level. Go and retest this level once it was broken through on the downtrend. It was never traded back to or never retested. So I think this level might be a good place for price to trade to. It's at 532. Oh, damn, sharp. Nice. Sweet. Hell yeah, that's worth celebrating there. Oh, Queen, good morning. Welcome. Welcome in. Hey, Sniper, good morning. Uh, Bove asked, do I think we're bullish now? It depends on which time frame you're looking at. Which time frame do you trade from? Queen, no, I didn't see your message, but yeah, I caught those. I saw all three of the videos from Dave. He has like he redid the, like he's mentioned, the part 1 through 4, and he had a two-parter there, and then he did another one that he released yesterday, which was, I think, candlestick patterns. And yes, I did see also the one from Strange ICT. The one from Strange ICT was pretty good. I like that one as well. So you're right. This was a good weekend. It was a good weekend to get back into the books and study some more, and also do some back testing. In fact, I think I may have to get back into that this afternoon. I think I want to rewatch it again. I watched Dave's video twice already, but I want to rewatch Strange ICT's video again. I also, on Dave's original masterclass, I watched video 7. So now I'm up to, I need to watch 8 next. Right. So Queen, this original entry here, on this move up, there was a 1 minute breaker that was presented earlier. Uh, show you that I've actually found it from from the indicator here. There was a 1 minute here that provided the entry just after 10 o'clock here. But also, I know how you like the 3 minute. And there was a 3 minute breaker that presented itself as well. Price never traded back into the breaker, but it did launch off of the fair value gap. Um, and honestly, it actually didn't launch off the fair value gap. It created the fair value gap when it ran away. So actually, this 3 minute never really gave an entry. Now let me see if there's another time frame here. So here's the 2 minute. It also never gave an entry. And 4 minute. Nope. Yeah, so the only entry here was on the 1 minute, where we had a close above on these consecutive candles, these two candles. In fact, this one here at 9:55 not only closed above, but it had a dip in. But then the following 7 or 8 candles gave you an entry on either one that you wanted for the next 10, 11 minutes. And then it finally broke out towards the end of the macro. Okay, let's get back up to the 5 minute here. Oh, refined turtle soup entries. I'm not really good at turtle soups, so I'm not 100% positive there on which one to do. I mean, I do like most of the videos that T Trades put out, so you may want to start there and see if he has anything. I don't know if Queen has any recommendations. Yeah, Robin, you're right about that. He is he's unique. You got in at 431. Jeez. Whoa. Okay. Jeez. Okay. So you got in right when this candle's high was taken in the close, you jumped in. Okay. Oh, Justin Werlin. All right. I've never heard of him, but Sniper, you might want to check that out. Justin Werlin to see his Turtle Soup videos. Yeah. Okay, Robin. Right on. Glad you're able to start to see it. And I know sometimes for me it's hard to distinguish the forest from the trees, but yeah, the more repetitions you put in, the easier it'll become. Well, Robin, just as long as you understand this is not a race, it's not a race. We can all win together. All right. Earlier, remember we were digging into this fair value gap here, or maybe the one below. And as it was buying up, I thought maybe we could hit these equal lows here. I mentioned as we broke through on the downswing, there was never a retest of this level right here. And generally, when price wants to, when it breaks, it'll always come back just to confirm it really was breaking that level and it's not going to trade back into the range. So we hadn't had that yet, and now we have as of the 1020 candle here on the 5 minute. So that was good to see that we tested that level. There was a rejection from that test. So that's telling me that price wants to remain below this level, and possibly we could trade back into a fair value gap like we have right here down around 18,490, possibly even lower. But for now, I think that's where we're going to go first. If you guys can just bear with me for a few minutes, I'm going to run off and grab some coffee. I'll be right back. And premium PD array. Yep, you're right, Sniper. Absolutely right. We have not traded down into discount yet. Discount would be below 18,380, something like that. Yeah, somewhere in this area will be equilibrium on the 4 hour. 380, 375, somewhere like that. But nope, that's a good eye. That's a good eye, though. We need to keep that into account as we're looking for price to continue its current trend or to reverse, just understanding where it is in the complete spectrum. All right, let's now that we're halfway through the hour, let's do another checkup on the other indices. Okay, we start again on the dollar on the far left. We can see the dollar is continuing to have downward pressure, pushing for lower prices. We see it has now traded into the fair value gap below, so it's still in there, probably a little less than halfway through it so far, but it has traded inside over to the Dow. The Dow is hasn't quite pushed in and made a new low this hour, but it looks like it's primed to do so any minute now. But then we have the S&P and the Nasdaq. We look at these two, and they look considerably different than the Dow. I would expect actually for all three to look more like what the S&P and the Nasdaq is looking like based on the way the dollar is performing. But the fact that we do have this crack in correlation and we have the Dow doing something different than the other two, um, that is a characteristic of either no high impact news or spotty price action, most likely like consolidation of some kind. So we need to continue to pay attention to the range we get today and see if we get a lot of retracements back into the previous range to where it never really expands. Um, so with that being said, if you're in trades, longs, shorts, whatever you're into today, just keep that in mind that price may want to range. And so you may not get one of those uh, highly volatile, impulsive moves where price moves 100, 125 points at a time. Real estate KW. Oh, Keller Williams. Yep. I'm using Topstep. And Topstep has some sort of affiliation with or some agreement with Tradovate, which is a broker. And Tradovate allows me to use this platform, TradingView, to trade through. All right, let's take a look at our range from about 4:30 until what we got just after the opening bell. All right, so equilibrium really was right around the breaker, right where we were looking at entries. Um, Equilibrium was just a bit higher than that, at right at 490. We've already traded into 62. We've traded into 71, even 78 and 83.5%. So we've nearly traded back this entire range from this morning. Um, but at the present moment, we do see price starting to consolidate a bit. Let's see where we are if I extend this all the way to essentially the opening of the day. Okay, even then, we've already passed 62% and nearly traded back to 71. So the fact that we're in heavy premium pricing means we could see some selling pressure from price back into discount, which is below the 50% mark. Remember, we were talking about setting up breakers on the 3 through 5 minute, and on none of those occasions it traded back to the breaker. It didn't even trade back to the fair value gap, which in this case, let me just make it larger. The breaker is this gray shaded area. Let me go ahead and make it blue so we all can see. Breakers are typically blue on my screen. So the breaker is there, but the fair value gap is here in green. And you can see that when price ran away, it never traded back into the breaker and it never traded back into the fair value gap. So that may be what we're seeing now. But prior to doing so, first thing it did was trade into premium pricing, which is above 50% for any new people. Sure is. March 22nd, 1 hour at, time is at 7 o'clock. Yep, and this is the first time trading into that breaker on the 1 hour time frame, which is a bearish one. So that would lead me to believe we're going to get right up to that area, and then we may see a downward pressure on price. Oh, okay. We were that close to consequent encroachment. I didn't realize that. We made it as far as 814 and 3/4. So yeah, about 7 points away. I think what we could get, and this is me just being speculative, is we could get a trade down here into the breaker, which then sends price higher into the 1 hour bearish breaker, which is around, let's call it 850, 860. So we can get a push here. In fact, you know what? We'll be too close to London not to take London high. And then we could see a move lower. Okay. 30 minutes of consolidation so far. Let's see if the macro period allows price to break out of the consolidation. Got the macro coming up in 4 minutes. Let's take a 3 minute maybe. See if anything's different on the 3 minute. All right, looks like you want us to sweep this low at 502. All right, here we are. Hello, Jay. Good morning. Mm. Oh, yeah, it does look like it's inside of it. I see inside the lime green here. Yep, right there. Looks like it's a couple ticks away from CE, but close enough. Wouldn't it be strange? Not strange, but wouldn't it be interesting if we had opposite candles on the 1 hour? I'll show you what I mean. If we get a decent retracement here, you see this candle from last hour where we had a big trade down, and before the hour closed, we had a complete recovery of price, and it finished slightly bullish. What if we have something similar this hour where it trades all the way back down, back to where the entries were on those breakers, and it closed down somewhere where it's slightly bearish or even slightly bullish, but still leave a huge wick on it? That would that would make it interesting as a follow up for the 11 o'clock hour to see what price wants to do. All right, we're in the macro now. Let me shuffle down. Yeah, you're right. They do get sandwiched, and I'm fighting for price, and the range is not large enough for you to get a satisfactory entry and get enough profit with the risk that you have to take. Hello, Sam. Good morning. All right, Jay. Yeah, definitely be careful. But congratulations on your current position. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Oh, Molly. Good morning. How's it going? Hey, Mario. Oh, okay, Molly. Molly, you're on. I keep forgetting. Okay, you're on the West Coast, U.S. West Coast. 6:45. I'm looking. I'm like, when did you get in that long? But I get it. It was 9:45 New York. Yeah, we were looking at the exact same trade at the same time. So good job. Glad you caught it. Hey, Max. Good morning. See if its price range here has been mitigated. Mm, and not quite. But honestly, it hasn't even closed outside of it yet. So maybe that's why it hasn't been mitigated. Yes, I picked that up as well. I did pick that up as well. Because he kept talking about how it'll retrace back, and it may not retrace all the way back to 50% because the S&D responsible for the last price leg might come before that, and so it may just bounce off of the S&D. Sweet, Molly, you got in at 424. Okay. Jeez. Oh my goodness. Wow. You got in right at the turnaround. It's an amazing trade. Okay, it looks like we're still consolidating here. Drop over to the 5 minute and see, okay, there's a rebound in price during this 5 minute time period. It's still in a consolidating range, however. No, it's fine, Molly. I think no one's gonna no one's gonna frown at you for grabbing 50 points out of the market. On a, I don't know if you're trading minis or micros, but on a mini contract, 50 points is $1,000 for one contract. So that's an amazing trade if you can consistently hit that. So I think what happens sometimes is we get caught up thinking that we need to get in at the bottom and we need to get out at the top. And the difficulty in doing so is immense. I mean, you'll easily make a lot of mistakes trying to do that. So I think if you can find a range or something that delivers consistently from a type of setup, like if you know a particular setup on a 5 minute chart always delivers 40 points, then maybe that's around the range you want to have your take profit, as opposed to always looking at, at a range and saying, okay, well, I want to take it all the way to the top up here and see if I can get out at that top. Well, in order to do so, price is going to do this before it makes it to the top. So the question is, can you withstand every time that it trades back down, every retracement that's made? Can you hold on to your position? Um, where the easiest trade to, or the easiest TP in this entire price range would have been from origin to right here. You would have gotten the bulk of the move. It would have only taken you from here to here, which was probably not that much time, 15, 20 minutes. And then you would have got a bulk of the move. In order to get all the way up here, you would have had to endure the trade for, it looks like, about 10 times as long as the first leg took, only to double. But in order to do so, you had to endure 1, 2, 3, 4 retracements. So I wouldn't get caught up trying to get every single point that price may want to deliver. Um, so so yeah, your 50 point win there, I think, was a pretty solid trade, and in fact better than most trades that are being put out there. So you should be happy with that. Sell at ask. Well, Sam, if you do a limit order, then you get filled at the price that you ask for. But yes, when you do just a market order where you just hit the button and say, I want to get in right now, there's a delay, usually around 1 to 2 seconds. And usually, yeah, you get hit with an extra quarter point or something on the spread. So you would get a better position if you did a limit order. Mm. Okay, Queen, what was the time frame you saw? You said the bearish breaker was forming. All right, let me remove this line so it's not confusing. This was area we were looking for the original leg to touch, and it did. We got a retracement, and now it looks like it's building up again. In fact, I don't think the retracement was that far. Let's see what we received. Yeah, not even a 38%. Let's see from this leg. Okay, so from the last leg, we did get a 50% retracement, but just on this leg here. Okay, the 1 minute just created at the top. Another breaker. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of breakers form a bullish breaker forming at the top of a range. Now we've already got one leg. Now we've gotten two legs. So it could be that this breaker is what's going to send that third leg up. But like I said, I'm not a huge fan of breakers forming at the top. Not a bullish one anyway. All right, but if we do continue to see higher prices, there's a few more swing highs. Again, this is on the 1 minute. There's a few more swing highs to hit on its way to the London high, which is perceived to be the target at the moment. Oh, you were still in a sell, Templar. I didn't realize that from Friday. Okay. Macro is almost over. They still have this 1 hour fair value gap, which price is traded into one, two, three times. Each time rejecting out. Candle bodies are below the fair value gap so far. We get about 15 seconds before this one closes. Not that I've heard of, Queen. Yeah, they generally don't let you, or at least none of the prop firms allow you to carry trades over from the day session into the following day or over weekend. That's probably why you see a lot of traders using prop firms to gain capital and then transfer over those winnings into their own account, and then they trade their own account on the side with fewer restrictions and just more flexibility. Yeah, Templar, there are definitely some restrictions out there and some I guess downsides to trading prop firms. But yeah, if you have your own capital, um, then it probably is a good idea, especially if you know you're consistent with your winnings and you're good with your discipline and psychology. Then I think it is probably better if you trade your own capital since you remove those restrictions, especially when you know you have a good position and it's at the end of the day. You can catch those big moves after 4 o'clock. You can also catch those big continuations that usually occur when the market opens back up at 1800. They trade in lot sizes. Okay. Oh, so they allow you to trade indices, just not futures. Okay. All right. Looks like we're still stuck in this sort of warp here where price hasn't moved since about 10 o'clock this morning. Prior to that, we did have a pretty sizable bullish move starting around at 9:45, just after the opening bell. We saw it push down. Saw this 940 candle end at 9:45 right here. And from that moment, price just pushed up until around 10:20, 10:25, somewhere in that range. Right, here we are, the third candle in a row, pushing into the same fair value gap. And we have a minute to go before it closes. And so far, it's already rejected. Okay, gonna give it a fourth go. And now we have the fourth candle testing the same area. At some point in time, it's going to break. It's not going to just continue to push in. He's either going to break or it's going to trade lower. That's the first sign. Let's see. Okay, so it has already traded past this third candle, so that might be a good sign for it to break above. There it is. Okay, now let's see if it'll take out the high from this morning, from the New York session. You know what? While we're talking about this, let me go ahead and mark up the New York low. This high was 18,542 was the high of around 1025. And we got within one tick of it just now. Yep, on the hourly, we're in the middle of a bearish breaker with the consequent encroachment value of 544 and a quarter. Oh, hey, Martin, good morning. I wouldn't say you missed anything, but there was a pretty good move here that a lot of people caught this morning, right around 9:45. So just after the opening bell, there was a push down, and a lot of people caught the long either from all the way down here at like a change in what is it called, CISD. I don't know why mine's going blank, but anyway, when there was a change in, I guess, change in state of delivery. That's it. Yes, change in state of delivery on the lower time frames, like the 1 and the 2 minute, happened down here. So some people got in there, and others got in up here where there was a breaker block on the 1 minute, where this retracement on these two candles came back into the range, and then people took it out. So a lot of people are able to get anywhere from 40 to 60 points on that move. Some who held longer were able to get even more than that. Yeah, lots of green days this morning so far for a lot of people. And thank you, Queen. Change in state of delivery. No, Miss Healthy, I didn't take that move. I lined it up on the chart, but I didn't take it. No, I need to get more comfortable taking trades before 10. It was around a 9:45 entry there, so it was even before the breaker there. And then once it kept trading back in, I didn't take it, but I should have. Yeah. No, it was actually an orange folder. It was a medium impact, but you're right, it didn't do anything. I mean, I took the long in my demo account, but I didn't take it in my Topstep account. Yep. So as we see price just continuing to slowly drift up and make higher prices here with higher lows, still want to see how it reacts at 544 and a quarter. And that's assuming that it makes it there. All right. If you're in the stream and you are enjoying the content so far, do me a favor and hit the like button, hit the thumbs up. All right, I threw in this little fair value gap here that was created about a half hour ago. Looks like price is just trading in between this fair value gap below and the hourly above. So I'll be right back. I'm going to go and get my last refill of coffee, and I'll be back in a couple minutes. See where we are now. Looks like we are back retesting the fair value gap below here on the 5-minute. We did it during the last candle, but we're able to recover, and we'll see what this candle is able to do. It still has another 4 minutes. And I think we never took this high. And you can see as I stretch, there's a small little gap here. 18,542. It was never taken. Oh, the midnight open. Yep. Midnight opens up here at 576. And let's check in on our other indices and see where we are collectively. Okay, we're seeing a little bit of bullish life out of the dollar right now. We've had 6 consecutive bearish candles. And this is the first candle that's starting to push higher towards that 104,263 level, which, okay, that comes from a while ago. Let me delete that. Oops. All right, so we'll see if price wants to trade up into this bearish fair value gap we have on the dollar. As I mentioned earlier this morning, whenever price takes a level, it likes to retest that level. So we had this low when it traded below it, has not been traded back to, so it hasn't been tested. So I would expect price to at least trade up to 104,275, even if it wants to go lower. I would expect it to go here first. So we may actually reach that level before this hour is up. If not, maybe that's going to be a lunchtime target. All right, moving over to the Dow. This looks like a trend line here. So the Dow really hasn't moved or done much since it reopened at 1800 yesterday. So not sure if anyone's trading the Dow, but it doesn't look extremely healthy there at the moment. Looking at the S&P next. Okay, lower high, lower low. That's what I'm looking at. Low high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and lower high. So can we expect a lower low? Oops. See, we did have a trade above the fair value gap, but it so far has not closed. It's not trading above it at the moment. Still another 24 minutes, but we'll see when the hour closes whether we're below, inside, or above the fair value gap. And then if we move over to NQ, it's not as blocky as the S&P 500. Looks like it was it was a bit more aggressive in its move down instead of making so many steps. I guess we can consider this a small one, but yep. So we'll leave that one there. And we'll see next whether this fair value gap pushes price lower or whether we continue to feel the support of the fair value gap below and we push higher, looking for either the New York high, the midnight open, or one of these swing points. Okay. Okay, looks like we have a strong candle here on the 5-minute, and let's see if now if it will finally get this swing high from 1020. And in doing so, maybe we'll hit the consequent encroachment of the hourly bearish breaker. $553. Okay. Okay, it's the first 5-minute candle to close above the fair value gap. All right, I think that is potentially, there it goes. All right, so we've touched consequent encroachment of the hour bearish breaker, as well as we've swept the morning high from 1020. Okay, all right, Francois. Oh, welcome back. Good afternoon to you. All right, so now as far as session highs and lows, we have the Asia high at the very top, 18,601. We have the London high, 18,565. And then we have the New York low at 18,414. All right, as we look for potentially price moving lower, we still have these fair value gaps for price to break through. But just underneath, we have equal lows here at 499. 18,499 has equal lows from 1045 and 1050. And just below, so if it was able to sweep these equal lows, then you get a tap right into the fair value gap here, or the bullish breaker from this morning. Generally, it will sweep equals. It doesn't always immediately go back to equals. Sometimes it will. But what happens is when it sweeps a key level, then yes, it'll go back to equals. Just because when you have equals, there's usually liquidity sitting there. Because what will happen is the more times you get price to stop at a level, people start to trust that that's the low. So they start putting stop losses behind it. And that's why price will go and sweep equals for that reason. Yeah, Robin, you're right. Since basically 10 o'clock, we haven't really moved out of this area here. So yeah, it's been about a 2 hour, 2 hour, kind of traffic jam in this area. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely looking at potentially bearish prices coming in soon, and so that's what I'm looking at. That's why I have this 1 hour bearish breaker marking here for the consequent encroachment. And you're right, there's probably going to be one on a lower time frame inside of the same area, giving you basically double confirmation on the bearish price movement. Yep. So I think what Queen was saying is if we can make it back here below these lows, then what we'll end up having is this area turn into a bearish breaker where we had price trade above it, and then we need price to trade below it, close, and then what we'll do is a trade back in and down. Right, so that's what we're looking at now as potentially where price wants to go. Now, if it doesn't come down, then obviously this breaker never activates. It's still just an idea, just a trade idea. Price would have to trade down and close below these equal lows at 499. Right, we have macro starting in about 90 seconds. Okay, let's take another look at these fair value gaps above. Remember, these are on the hourly. So we've now traded above this one. We've now traded into this really slim one, really thin one, about 2 points. It looks like the size of it. Traded to the upper extreme. But there's one more just above, which runs us into the London high. Hey, here we are. Okay, so we did get a trade above this 1 hour fair value gap a little bit, not quite into this range, however. 553. All right, Francois, you called it 553. Is that the reaction you were looking for? Mm. Yeah, you're right. The London high is right at consequent encroachment of the 1800 opening. Martin, you're correct. Okay, you took 10 already. Sweet. And the beauty in that, since you knew the reaction area, is you don't even have to be right about the trade. It was just going to give you a 10-point retracement no matter what. So grabbing that was very, very wise of you, right? Price could continue moving higher for this London high, and you still were able to snatch something out of the market. All right, so another breaker was formed here on the 1 minute with the fair value gap that was not violated. So another unicorn, essentially. Similar setup that we had at 9:45 that sent price higher by about 80 points. Okay, as we head into the close of the hour in the next 5 minutes, keep in mind that wherever price is, if it's above any of these pink areas, they will be invalidated and disappear off the monitor. So at the current price level, if it closes here, this one below will disappear. If it trades above this one and gets into this white area or into this fair value gap, then this little small one will disappear at the close of the hour. All right, let's see if price wants to invalidate this bearish fair value gap below, or if it trades back inside before the close of the hour. Okay, we just had a retest of the breaker here, trading back into it. Fifteen seconds. Let's see where it closes. All right, it closed just above by 1 point. You can see how in the last minute it was trying to decide whether it was going to close inside or above. It did close above, so that invalidated that bearish fair value gap there. We still do have several above. We still have the smaller one and then a much larger one leading into the London high. Right. So that'll do it. That'll conclude our morning session. Thanks to everyone for joining and for the time you spent here in the live feed. So we're going to take an hour break, and we'll be right back at 1300 for an afternoon session, going until 1600. So hope you can join. Hope you'll come back this afternoon, and we'll see what price brings. But this morning we had a really good start to our session, and then it just kind of consolidated until we closed out here. But it was a good start to the session, and it was good to watch price this morning. So take care, everyone, and hopefully I'll see you back in about 1 hour, about 60 minutes. All right, take care. See you soon.